My name is Gloria Dean, and I'm 32 years old, 3 weeks ago, at my sister's wedding. My aunt got drunk and told me something that shattered my entire life in a single sentence. She said my mother had thrown away my Columbia University acceptance letter 14 years ago. And the worst part, everyone at the table already knew. I looked across the reception hall at my mother. She didn't flinch. She didn't apologize. She smiled, and then she said 5 words that erased 14 years of silence. You wouldn't have lasted anyway. I had spent half my life believing I wasn't good enough, that I had aimed too high, that life had corrected me. But it wasn't life. It wasn't fate. It wasn't the universe. It was my mother, a mailbox, and a trash can. What I pulled out of my purse that night made that smile disappear. But I'll tell you that part later. For now, take a moment to subscribe, but only if you believe that no one else has the right to decide your worth or your future. And let me know where you're listening from, and what the temperature is like there right now. I read every single comment. This is a fictional story. Some details have been enhanced with the help of artificial intelligence to make the story more vivid. Now let me take you back to 2012, the spring I was supposed to leave for New York, senior year at Brookdale High, a school small enough that your GPA was everybody's business. Mine was 3.9. I worked Friday and Saturday nights at Marino's Pizza for $6 an hour plus tips, and I saved every cent. Because I knew no one else was saving anything for me. My mother, Elaine Dean, had a system. There was my younger sister, Chloe, 14 at the time, and then there was me. Chloe got violin lessons. Chloe got a private SAT tutor. Chloe got a college counselor who charged $200 an hour and came to our house with color-coded binders. I got a stack of community college brochures left on my bed one afternoon. No explanation. No conversation. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just applied to Columbia behind her back. I wrote my essay at the public library after my shifts. I paid the application fee with tip money, $63 in crumpled bills stuffed into an envelope. I didn't tell my mother, because I already knew what she would say. She had said it 100 times, in 100 different ways. You're the kind of girl who stays local, Gloria. Not cruel, not loud, just certain. Like she was describing the weather. Like she was stating a fact. And the truth, I almost believed her. Almost. But something in me, something stubborn she hadn't managed to crush, filled out that application, sealed the envelope, and dropped it into a mailbox miles away where she couldn't intercept it. I didn't tell Chloe either. Not because I didn't trust her, but because she was 14. She still believed our mother was fair. And Elaine. She had her own phrase for the difference between us. She'd say it at family dinners, at church, even at the grocery store. Chloe has potential. Gloria has stability. Stability. Like I was a piece of furniture. April 2012. Every day after school, I checked the mailbox before stepping inside. Every single day, it was either empty or filled with envelopes addressed to Elaine Dean. Elaine Dean. Elaine Dean. Our mailbox sat at the end of the driveway, dented and faded, the red flag hanging crooked like it had given up trying to stand straight. My mother got home from her job at the district office around 3:15. My bus dropped me off at 3:40, 25 minutes. That was all the head start she needed. I didn't know that back then. I just knew the letter never came. One evening, I sat at the kitchen table, my hands wrapped around a glass of water I hadn't touched, and asked her directly, "Did anything come from Columbia?" She barely glanced up from the grocery ads spread in front of her. Nothing came. She said, "I'm sorry. Honey, maybe it's for the best." I nodded like I understood. Then I went upstairs, closed my door, and cried into my pillow so quietly no one would hear. She never came to check on me. I remember hearing her voice later that night, low and quick, behind her bedroom door while she was on the phone. At the time, I assumed she was talking to a friend. I didn't think about it again for 14 years. The next morning, there was a stack of freshly printed community college brochures waiting on the kitchen counter beside my cereal bowl. Ridge County Community College, East Valley Technical Institute, bright covers, smiling students, tuition costs circled in red ink. She had printed them the night before. While I was upstairs crying, she had already decided my future. I enrolled that August. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I would transfer. I told myself this was just a detour. And for a while, I kept telling myself that, until the voice got quieter, until one day, it stopped. I didn't fight. I didn't call admissions. I didn't question anything. I was 18 years old. My mother told me I wasn't enough, and I believed her. If I had to describe the next 14 years, I wouldn't call it failure. I'd call it a slow climb up a staircase someone had already told you led nowhere. 2 years at Ridge County, then I transferred to North Penn State Harrisburg. I graduated with a degree in project management and $38,000 in student loans. I got a job as an administrative assistant at a mid-sized construction company. I answered phones, filed permits, organized paperwork. Then I started reading blueprints because no one told me I couldn't. By 26, I was a project coordinator. By 29, a project manager. By 31, a senior project manager overseeing residential builds worth $3 to $4 million each. I bought a small house 15 minutes from where I grew up. I paid my own mortgage. I mowed my own lawn, and every time I reached a milestone, every raise, every promotion, every completed project, my mother found a way to shift the spotlight. "That's nice. Gloria," she would say, "Chloe just got promoted to marketing coordinator at Sterling and Hayes. Isn't that amazing? You bought a house. Good for you." Chloe's looking at properties in Westbrook Estates. Much better neighborhood. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was precise. Like a scoreboard I didn't agree to play on. And, on that scoreboard, Chloe was always ahead. Not because she earned more, but because the rules kept changing. I never blamed Chloe. She was my little sister. She worked hard in her own way. What I resented was myself. For not being enough. For not getting into Columbia. For being exactly what my mother said I was. The kind of girl who stays local. That belief sat in my chest like a weight I carried everywhere. For 14 years. And then, 6 months ago, something shifted. But I'll come back to that. Chloe called me on a Tuesday in March. She was getting married. Ethan Cole. Good guy. Worked in pharmaceutical sales. Smiled a little too much. But he meant it. She asked me to be a bridesmaid. Not maid of honor, I joked. Mom already kind of assigned herself that role. She said, "Of course she did." I said yes. Because I loved Chloe. Because that's what older sisters do. 2 days later, my mother called, not to congratulate me, not to ask how I felt, to manage me. "Gloria, I need you to understand something. This is Chloe's day. Don't make it about you. I haven't done anything." "Mom, I know how you can be." That phrase, the one she'd been using since I was 12, anytime I had an opinion, anytime I set a boundary, anytime I existed in a way she hadn't approved. How you can be. Like having a voice was a flaw. She also informed me I'd be wearing sage green, not the dusty rose the other bridesmaids were wearing. "It's better for your complexion," she said. Different, separate, controlled down to the color of the fabric. I hung up and sat in my kitchen for a long time, thinking about every holiday, Every birthday, every dinner where I showed up, smiled, and played my part. The reliable one, the stable one, the one who didn't need anything, because she had been taught not to ask. I was 32 years old. I managed $4 million construction projects. I coordinated teams of 30 people. I solved problems under pressure every single week. Deadlines stacked on top of deadlines. Decisions that actually mattered. And somehow, my mother still treated me like a girl who needed to be told what color to wear. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, something started to shift. At first, it was small. Just a thought I couldn't shake. Then it got louder. The problem wasn't just my mother. The problem was me. Or more specifically, the story I had been carrying for 14 years without ever questioning who wrote it. I had just been promoted to senior project manager. My boss, Daniel Carter, pulled me aside after the announcement. He clapped me on the shoulder and said, "I want you to present the Ridgeview Heights project to the board next quarter." My first thought was immediate. I'm not qualified for that. My second thought came right after. Where did that come from? Because the truth was, I had the numbers, I had the results. I had just brought a project in under budget and ahead of schedule for the first time in the company's history. There was no logical reason for doubt. But somewhere between my brain and my voice, there was a wall. And behind that wall was a voice I knew too well. My mother's voice. "You're the kind of girl who stays local, Gloria." That's when it hit me. Not slowly, not gently. Clean and sharp. Like walking straight into glass you didn't see. The lie wasn't just about Columbia. It was bigger than that. It had shaped everything. The way I second-guessed myself in meetings. The way I brushed off compliments. The way I hesitated every time someone asked where I went to college. Like my answer was something I had to defend instead of something I had earned. If I stayed quiet, if I kept playing the role my mother had written for me, I would lose another 14 years. I would keep shrinking in rooms where I deserved to stand tall. I would keep apologizing for taking up space. I would keep living inside a version of myself that wasn't even real, and I couldn't afford that. Not in money. I was fine financially, but something more valuable than money was slipping away. Time. And I was running out of it. 6 months before the wedding, I made a decision. One that terrified me. One I didn't tell anyone about. Not my mother. Not Chloe. Not even my closest friend. I wasn't ready to say it out loud. But it was there. Folded. Waiting. Sitting quietly in my purse. The rehearsal dinner was held at a country club the night before the wedding. Soft lighting. Pale tablecloths. Candles that smelled like vanilla. 80 people in a room that should have held 60. My mother stood up to give a toast. She held her champagne glass like it was something more than glass. Like it was authority. For 9 minutes. I timed it on my phone under the table. She spoke about Chloe. Chloe's childhood. Chloe's first recital. Chloe's acceptance to Westbrook University. Chloe's career. Chloe's kindness. Chloe's future. She did not say my name. Not once. Not in 9 full minutes. I sat 4 feet away from her in the sage green dress she had chosen for me. And I did not exist. I always knew Chloe was meant for great things, she said. Her voice soft, emotional, practiced. A mother knows. The room applauded. I applauded too. Because what else do you do when your own mother erases you in a room full of people and no one questions it after the toast? I felt a hand squeeze mine under the table. My aunt, Vivian, my mother's younger sister. Her grip was tight, too tight. Her eyes were red. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I turned to her. Sorry for what she opened her mouth, then closed it again. She reached for her glass and took a long drink. Never mind. she said. Tomorrow. I'll tell you tomorrow. Tell me what? Vivian. She shook her head, looking away. But her hand didn't let go of mine. It was trembling. Your mother is not who you think she is, she said quietly. So quietly I almost missed it. And neither are you. Before I could respond, she stood up and walked toward the restroom. I sat there, frozen, her words echoing in my head, my mother's voice still lingering in the room. Something was coming. I could feel it. The way you feel a storm before it breaks. The air shifts first, and at that table, with my aunt's hand still warm in mine, I knew one thing without understanding anything yet. Something was about to change. If you've ever sat at a family table and felt like everyone knew something except you, tell me. I need to know I'm not the only one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because this is where everything starts to turn. The morning of the wedding came too fast. The bridal suite at the country club smelled like hairspray and gardenias, thick and sweet in the air. Chloe sat in front of a vanity mirror, while a makeup artist carefully worked on her eyes. She looked beautiful. Not just pretty. The kind of beautiful that makes your chest tighten for a second. And for a moment, I forgot everything else. "Zip me up," she said softly. I stepped behind her and pulled the zipper up slowly, careful not to catch the lace. "My little sister is getting married," I said, smiling. Then the door opened. My mother walked in holding a clipboard. An actual clipboard. "Flowers need to be moved 6 inches to the left on the altar," she said immediately. "Ethan's grandmother is in a wheelchair, so row 3 needs to be rearranged." Then her eyes landed on me. "And Gloria. Stand in the back for photos. Chloe is the bride. Not you." The makeup artist's hand paused mid-air. "Mom," Chloe said quietly. "What?" My mother replied without looking up. "I'm being practical. She's taller. She'll block the shot. I'm 5'6", I said. "Chloe's 5'4". "That's not a problem." "It's fine," Chloe added. "See, she's fine," my mother said, already turning back to her clipboard. Then, like an afterthought, she added, "And smile less during the ceremony. You're pulling focus. Smile less." At my sister's wedding, I was being told to dim myself so no one would accidentally notice me. The makeup artist glanced at me through the mirror. I met her eyes. We didn't say anything. We didn't need to. It was the kind of look strangers share when they see something they understand but won't comment on. Chloe reached for my hand as her mascara dried. "Ignore her," she whispered. "You look beautiful." "Thanks." "Chloe," I said. And I meant it. The nickname slipped out naturally. From a time before everything got complicated. Before our mother decided there was a line between us. I adjusted her veil gently, smoothing the fabric over her shoulders. Behind us. My mother was already on the phone, giving orders to someone else. And all I could think was what Aunt Vivian had said. Tonight. The ceremony was held outside. White chairs lined up neatly on a wide green lawn. An arch wrapped in ivy stood at the front. Sunlight filtering through the leaves. 120 guests sat facing forward. Waiting. Watching. My mother made sure she was at the center of it all. She sat in the front row, holding Chloe's hand before the processional began, like she was the one giving her away. Our father, Richard Dean, wasn't there. He had moved to Nevada after the divorce when I was 12. My mother told everyone he chose to leave. She never mentioned how she had made that choice easier for him. Before the ceremony even started. She had already changed the program. The officiant cleared his throat and announced, "Before we begin, a few words from the mother of the bride." The wedding planner looked confused. This wasn't planned, but my mother was already walking forward. She wore ivory, not white, but close enough that you noticed. She spoke for 4 minutes. About sacrifice, about motherhood, about raising a daughter who shines. She talked about late nights helping with homework, Chloe's homework. She talked about giving everything to make sure my girl had every opportunity. My girl, singular. I stood in line with the other bridesmaids, holding a bouquet of white roses, wearing the sage green dress she had chosen for me. And I watched 120 people nod along to a story that only had one daughter in it. I caught Aunt Vivian's eye from a few rows back. She was gripping the edge of her chair, her jaw tight. She shook her head just slightly, a signal I didn't understand yet. The reception moved inside. Round tables, white peonies, soft music playing low enough for conversation. Our family table sat near the head table, close enough to see Chloe and Ethan clearly, far enough to feel separate, second tier. At the table sat my mother, Aunt Vivian, my grandmother Evelyn, 82 years old with hearing aids in both ears and a sharper mind than anyone gave her credit for, and 2 of my mother's nephews, Ryan and Luke, both glued to their phones. My mother started talking within minutes. She turned to my grandmother and began listing Chloe's accomplishments one by one, each one delivered like a headline. Chloe got into Westbrook on her first try. She said, full support from the family. Of course. Some children just rise when you give them the right foundation. She glanced at me when she said some children, like it wasn't accidental. Like it never was. Some children just rise when you give them the right foundation. She looked at me when she said it. The phrasing wasn't accidental. It never was. And now, this beautiful wedding. She continued smoothly. Ethan is wonderful. The kind of man who truly appreciates a woman with ambition. I took a sip of water and said nothing. I had learned that skill early, the ability to sit still while someone quietly rewrites your worth in front of an audience. Aunt Vivian poured her 3rd glass of champagne, then her 4th. Her hand wasn't steady anymore. She kept looking at me, then at my mother, then back at me again. A pattern. Back and forth. Faster each time. My mother noticed. For the first time that day. Something crossed her face that wasn't control. It was concern. Vivian, she said lightly. Maybe switch to water. I'm fine, Vivian replied, a little too loudly. Ryan looked up from his phone. My grandmother Evelyn tilted her head slightly, adjusting to catch every word. Something was building at that table. Quiet. Tight. Like pressure sealed inside something that wasn't meant to hold it. A cousin from Ethan's side leaned over from the next table. So, Gloria, what are you up to these days? Chloe talks about you all the time. Before I could answer, my mother stepped in. She does office work. She said, it's fine. Not everyone is built for the fast track. The table went still. Even Luke looked up. I set my glass down carefully. My hand didn't shake. My voice didn't rise. I manage $4 million construction projects. Mom, I said, I think I'm on a track. She waved her hand dismissively. You know what I mean. Chloe's in marketing at Sterling and Hayes. Very competitive field. Very high pressure. She smiled at the cousin. Gloria's more of a behind-the-scenes person. Behind the scenes. Like I was part of the background. Like I existed just out of focus. My grandmother put her fork down. Elaine. Hush. 2 words. Clear. Sharp. Final. My mother blinked. Excuse me, you heard me. My grandmother said, hush. It was the first time in my life I had ever seen someone stop her. Evelyn had always been gentle. Soft voice. Soft presence. The kind of woman who sent birthday cards with small bills tucked inside and never took sides. But she wasn't soft now. She was tired. Not of tonight. Of years. My mother recovered quickly, like she always did. She laughed lightly and touched my grandmother's hand. Mom, I'm just being honest. But something had shifted. Ryan was watching. Luke had put his phone down. Vivian's glass was empty again. Her cheeks flushed. Under the table. I felt my purse resting against my ankle. There was something inside it. Something I hadn't planned on showing anyone tonight. That was about to change. If you think my mother was right to throw away my college acceptance letter and decide my future for me, then comment I agree. But if you believe no one has the right to take someone else's dream away like that, comment I disagree. Sometimes a single choice can change an entire life, so I really want to hear what you think. 6 months before the wedding. I had been sitting in my car in a convenience store parking lot during my lunch break, eating a sandwich and scrolling through my phone. Then I saw it. An article. The headline stopped me mid-bite. Columbia University School of General Studies. The Ivy League path for non-traditional students. I read it once, then again, then a third time. Then I set my food down and read it again more slowly. This wasn't a certificate. Not a short course. Not something diluted. It was a real Columbia degree. A full undergraduate program. Designed for people who didn't take the traditional path. People who worked first. People who went to community college. People who started late. People who had lived a little before coming back. People like me. I sat there for 45 minutes. My lunch break was 30. I was going to be late. And I didn't care. That night. I started the application. 2 in the morning. Kitchen table. The glow of my laptop cutting through the dark. I didn't outline anything. I didn't plan. I just wrote the truth. I'm 32. I work in construction management. I never stopped wanting this. The words came fast, honest, unfiltered. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell Chloe. I didn't tell anyone, because the last time I wanted something this badly, it had been taken from me, and I wasn't giving anyone the chance to take it again. 2 weeks before the wedding. The letter arrived. Rolling admission. A thick envelope with the blue crest of Columbia University stamped in the corner. I opened it in my car. Same parking lot. Different season. I read the first line and started crying so hard I couldn't see the second. I folded the letter, slid it into my wallet, and carried it with me every day. I had planned to tell Aunt Vivian at the wedding. She was the only person I trusted with something this fragile. I didn't know yet that the letter was about to become something else entirely. The night before the wedding. After the rehearsal dinner. After my mother's 9-minute tribute to her only daughter. Vivian pulled me into the hotel hallway. She smelled like champagne and something heavier. I need to tell you something, she said, gripping my arm. Okay. Tell me. Tomorrow. After the ceremony. Vivian. Just tell me now. I can't. Not tonight. Not with your mother this close. You're scaring me. She looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw guilt in her eyes. Not small guilt. Not the kind you brush off. The kind that lives in you. The kind that ages you. Your mother is not who you think she is, she said quietly. And neither are you. I stared at her. What does that mean? It means I should have said something a long time ago, and I didn't. And I have to live with that. Her voice cracked. Tomorrow. I promise. She squeezed my arm one last time, then walked away. Her heels echoing down the hallway until she disappeared. I stood there long after she was gone. Vivian was careful with words. She didn't say things she didn't mean. Whatever she was carrying. It mattered. I went back to my room and lay on the bed fully dressed. staring at the ceiling. Her words repeated in my head. Your mother is not who you think she is, and neither are you. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. I just lay there, listening to the hum of the ice machine through the wall, waiting for morning to break open whatever truth was coming. Before everything, before the bridal suite, before the clipboard, before my mother told me to smile less. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my wallet. The letter was still there, folded into thirds, soft at the edges from being carried everywhere. I unfolded it and read the first paragraph again. Dear Miss Dean, we are pleased to inform you that you have been admitted to the Columbia University School of General Studies for the fall 2026 semester. I traced the blue crest with my thumb. This was mine. Not given, not approved, not controlled. Mine. Earned in the quiet, in the dark. After 14 years of believing a lie, I had planned to show Vivian, to share this moment with someone who might understand what it meant. She was the only one who had ever looked at me like I was more than what my mother decided. I didn't know what she was going to tell me. I didn't know the letter in my wallet was about to collide with something buried for 14 years. All I knew was that it belonged to me. I folded it carefully, slid it back into my wallet, placed the wallet in my purse, and zipped it closed. Then I got dressed, drove to the country club, and walked into my sister's wedding carrying proof that I was never the girl my mother said I was. I just didn't know it yet. The reception speeches started at 7:30. Ethan's best man went first. A messy, funny speech about college and burnt pasta. People laughed. Chloe glowed. Then my mother stood up. She had changed into a cream jacket and silk blouse, pearls resting neatly at her throat. She took the microphone like she had been waiting for it all day. Being a mother, she began, is the hardest job in the world, especially when you do it alone. She paused. She was always good with pauses. For 6 minutes. She spoke about her sacrifices, the divorce, the late nights helping with homework, the weekends spent driving to lessons and competitions, the applications she reviewed, the essays she edited. Every story, every example, was about Chloe. Every single one of her examples was about Chloe. I poured everything into giving my girls the best, my mother said. But the word girls felt hollow, like something added for balance, not truth. Then she looked at Chloe, her eyes shining. Real tears or something rehearsed so well it didn't matter anymore. Chloe, you are my greatest achievement. She held my gaze as she said it. 2 full seconds. Long enough to feel it land. Long enough for the woman at the next table to lean toward her husband and whisper, she has 2 daughters. Right. The room applauded. I applauded too. My hands moved automatically, trained after 32 years of clapping for a version of my family where I barely existed. Some children are born to shine, my mother continued, still holding the microphone. Others are born to watch. Then she sat down. The music started again, soft, distant. Aunt Vivian reached for the champagne bottle again. I pushed my chair back and walked out. Down the hallway, past the restrooms, through a side door into the cool night air. I stopped behind the building, near a dumpster, and pressed my hands against the brick wall, breathing in slow, uneven breaths. Others are born to watch. She said it out loud, into a microphone, in front of 100 people, at her other daughter's wedding. I wanted to leave. I wanted to get in my car, drive home, lock the door, and never sit at that table again. I wanted to be done, but I could already see how the story would go. My mother at brunch the next morning, shaking her head gently. Gloria left early. She's always been jealous of Chloe. I tried to include her, but she made it about herself. You know how she can be. If I left, she would win. She would rewrite the entire night before I even reached the highway. And then I thought about Chloe, my sister, not my mother's favorite, not the golden child. The girl who used to zip up my dresses and leave me birthday messages that started with, "Hey, Glow." She didn't do this. She didn't deserve her wedding turning into the night her sister disappeared. So I went back inside. I sat down. Aunt Vivian grabbed my hand under the table the moment I returned. Her grip was tight. "I can't keep this anymore," she said, her voice thick, unsteady. "Keep what I asked." She looked at my mother, who was smiling as someone complimented her speech. Then she looked back at me. The truth. My mother settled into her chair, smoothing her napkin as if nothing had happened. Someone was telling her how moving her speech had been. I just spoke from the heart. She said. Vivian's voice cut through the table. "You know your mom hid that letter." Right. Everything stopped. Forks paused. Glasses froze in midair. Ryan looked up. Luke turned toward us. Vivian was staring directly at me, her eyes wet, her voice steady for the first time all night. We all knew. I couldn't move. "What letter?" "Your Columbia letter," she said. "You got in. Gloria, you were accepted." She took it out of the mailbox and threw it away. Silence. Not the polite kind. The kind that presses on your chest. The kind where you can hear ice shifting in a glass. I turned slowly to my mother. "Is that true?" She picked up her wine glass, took a slow sip, set it down, and then she did something I will never forget. She didn't deny it. She didn't explain. She didn't apologize. She didn't look away. She adjusted her pearls, glanced at Vivian, and said calmly, "Oh, Vivian, you've always been dramatic." My grandmother's hand moved to her chest. Ryan's mouth fell open. Luke still held his phone, but he wasn't looking at it anymore. "Elaine," Vivian said, her voice rising, "tell her the truth." My mother turned her eyes back to me. Calm, steady. The same expression she had worn 14 years ago when she told me nothing had come in the mail. It was a long time ago. She said, "Let it go." My mother said, "I didn't." "Did you throw away my acceptance letter from Columbia University?" My voice was steady. No shaking, no tears. I needed every person at that table to hear it. And they did. My mother looked at me the way she always had, measuring, calculating, deciding how much truth she would allow into the room. Then she smiled. "You wouldn't have lasted a semester." The words hit like a slap. My grandmother inhaled sharply. Ryan leaned back in his chair. Luke froze, phone still in his hand. Vivian closed her eyes. She wasn't denying it. She was defending it. 14 years of silence. And her answer wasn't regret. It was justification. The room shifted. Conversations nearby slowed. The music suddenly felt too loud, out of place in a space that had gone still. I sat there, unmoving. Something inside me cracked open. For 14 years. I had believed I wasn't good enough. And now, in a single moment, that belief collapsed. Not into anger. Not yet. That would come later. What I felt was clarity, because she had just confirmed the truth I had been running from since I was 18. I was good enough. Columbia had said yes. The universe hadn't rejected me. She had. I reached down slowly and unzipped my purse. My fingers found the envelope immediately. Soft edges, familiar weight, the blue crest I had traced again and again. I pulled it out, and that was the moment her smile disappeared. 14 years of doubt, built on a lie she created on purpose. I placed the envelope on the table between us. Official paper. Official seal. I applied to Columbia's School of General Studies 6 months ago. I said calmly. I did it myself. My own essay. My own money. I unfolded the letter and laid it flat. And I got in. The table stopped breathing. My grandmother's hand rose to her mouth. Vivian was crying silently now. Not from champagne, but from something deeper. Ryan leaned forward to read the letter. Luke picked up his phone, then set it back down. Unsure what to do. My mother stared at the paper. The smile was gone. Not slowly. Gone all at once. Like a light had been switched off behind her eyes. Her gaze moved from the crest to the text to my name, and I watched her understand the one thing she had tried to prevent for 14 years. I didn't know you took my first chance. Mom, I said quietly. I applied because I wanted it, not because of you. She said nothing. Her fingers twitched slightly against the table. You told me I wouldn't last a semester. I lifted the letter just enough for her to see it clearly. Columbia disagrees. At the next table. Someone covered their mouth. My mother straightened her posture, smoothing her jacket like she was resetting the moment. You're ruining your sister's wedding, she said, her voice controlled but sharp. No, I replied. You did that. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You chose to smile. This is private family business, she said, glancing around for support. No, it isn't, Vivian said, her voice firm now. You made it public when you stood up there and erased her. My mother opened her mouth. Nothing came out. She earned this, Vivian continued. She earned it then, and she earned it now. You took it from her. Own that. The room around us shifted. I could feel people watching, listening, recalculating everything they thought they knew. My mother gripped the edge of the table. You're making a scene. You made it 14 years ago, I said. Chloe appeared beside our table, still in her wedding dress. The train gathered in one hand. Her veil pushed back. Someone had told her. Ethan stood just behind her, one hand at his tie, caught between stepping in and staying out. Is this true? She asked, her voice tight. Mom, did you throw away her letter? My mother reached for her arm. Sweetheart, not now. Chloe pulled away. I did what was best for this family. The answer landed wrong. I saw it in the way my mother blinked, too quickly, already trying to recover. Chloe turned to me. You got into Columbia University when you were 18, I nodded. She told me you never applied, Chloe said, her voice breaking. She said you didn't want college, that you were happy staying here. I let the silence sit for a moment. I wasn't happy, I said quietly. I just didn't know there was another option. Chloe covered her mouth. Her shoulders shook. I didn't know. Gloria. I swear I didn't. I stood and pulled her into a hug. I know. I whispered. I know. Over her shoulder. Ethan met my eyes and gave a small nod. Steady. Certain. Chloe pulled back, wiping her cheeks, then looked at our mother. What else did you lie about? My mother didn't answer. She stood, picking up her cream-colored clutch like she was stepping out of a meeting instead of a moment she had created. I'm leaving, she said. You've all made your choice. She said it like she was the one being wronged, like she was walking out of a room that had failed her. She had done this before, turned absence into punishment, taught everyone to fear her leaving. Sit down. Elaine. My grandmother's voice cut through the room. Evelyn, 82, small and quiet her whole life, hands that had always been gentle. Not now. Sit down and listen to your daughter. My mother froze, clutch in one hand, composure in the other. For a second. She looked like someone who had run out of moves. Then she sat. The table fell silent. Around us, the room shifted. Some guests drifted away. Others stayed, watching from a distance. Glasses held halfway to their lips. Everything had narrowed to our table. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't list everything she had done. I'm not asking for an apology, I said. I had stopped needing one a long time ago. She looked at me. I just need you to understand something. I folded the letter and slid it back into my wallet. You didn't stop me. Mom. I let the next word land. You delayed me. 14 years. And I'm still going. My grandmother reached across the table and covered my hand with hers. Good girl, she said softly. I didn't ask for an apology because I knew what hers would look like. Careful, strategic, something that would somehow turn her into the victim. I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in boundaries. I start at Columbia in September, I said, looking directly at her. I won't be answering your calls until I'm ready. When I am, I'll reach out. You can't just I can. I said, and I am. She opened her mouth again. I could see it happening. The story forming. The version she would tell tomorrow. Gloria made a scene. Gloria embarrassed me. You know how she is. But the people at this table had heard everything. They knew. I turned to Chloe. Mascara had traced faint lines down her cheeks. This is your day, I said gently. I love you. I'll stay for your first dance. Then I'll head out. She nodded and reached for my hand, squeezing it the way she used to when she was little. Okay, she whispered. I looked at my mother one last time. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm protecting myself. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. I sat back down. Vivian poured me a glass of champagne, the first one I'd had all night. We clinked glasses quietly. No words. The music shifted. A slow song began to play. Chloe and Ethan stepped onto the dance floor. The first song was At Last. Chloe had loved that song since she was 16. I could still picture her in her room, singing into a hairbrush, laughing at herself between verses. Now she moved slowly under the string lights, her hand in Ethan's, her head resting against his shoulder. For a moment, I didn't see the bride. I saw my little sister, the girl who used to knock on my door at midnight and whisper, "Do you think anyone will ever like me back?" I stood at the edge of the dance floor, my champagne untouched. Aunt Vivian came to stand beside me. She smelled like champagne and something lighter now. Relief. I should have told you years ago, she said quietly, watching Chloe. You told me tonight. I said, that's what matters. She threatened to cut me off if I said anything. Vivian continued. She said she'd tell everyone I was lying. Her voice was steady now. The weight was gone. I tried to hint at it. She added, I asked if you ever thought about applying somewhere else. You always said. What's the point? I remembered. I remembered thinking she was pushing too hard. I'm sorry, Gloria. I know. I said. We stood in silence for a moment, watching the dance. Are you really going? She asked softly. I touched my purse. I really am. She let out a small, uneven laugh. Then she leaned closer and said something that shifted everything again. Your mother applied to Columbia University too, right after high school. She didn't get in. I turned to her. She never told you. Vivian said, she never told anyone. I found the rejection letter once. Years ago. She burned it. I looked across the room. My mother sat alone at the table, staring at the centerpiece like it might explain something. For the first time, I didn't see just control. I saw something else. Something broken. I stepped onto the edge of the dance floor and hugged Chloe when the music slowed. She held on longer than usual. "I'm sorry about tonight," I said. "Don't," she said immediately, pulling back. "Don't you dare apologize." She looked at me differently. Not admiration, recognition. "You got in twice," she said. I smiled. "I did." "Then go," she said. "Go be everything you were meant to be." She adjusted my collar, her hands gentle, familiar. "And call me when you get there." "I will." I grabbed my coat, my purse, my keys. Walked through the lobby past the guest book and framed photos, past the valet stand, out into the night. The October air hit my face, cold and clean. I breathed it in until it hurt. My car was parked at the far end of the lot. I sat behind the wheel and pulled the letter out again. The overhead light turned the blue crest silver. I read it slowly. Not like before, not like in that parking lot months ago, when I thought it might not be real. This time, I read it like it belonged to me, because it did. I called my best friend, Maya. She answered on the second ring. I got my answer. I said, "To what?" she asked. "To everything." I started the engine. The country club lights faded in my rearview mirror. Somewhere inside, my mother was sitting alone. Somewhere inside, my sister was still dancing. I turned onto the road and drove forward, toward September, toward something new. But what came after didn't explode all at once. It spread, quietly, within 2 days. The story had moved through the entire family, not because I told it. I didn't call anyone. Vivian told my grandmother everything that night, and the next morning. My grandmother called everyone, every sibling, every cousin, every branch of the family. 3 of my mother's cousins called me, not to gossip, to confirm. We always felt something was off. My cousin Laura said, "She talked about Chloe like she was raising someone extraordinary. She talked about you like you were just there." My Uncle Robert said, "Your grandmother is furious. She said she's never been more ashamed of one of her children." My mother called me 11 times in 3 days. I didn't answer once. Her messages told the whole story. Monday, "Call me. We need to talk like adults." Tuesday, "You're being childish, Gloria." Wednesday morning, "Fine. I'll tell everyone you made this up." Wednesday afternoon, after my grandmother had already made her calls. Silence. She stopped. For the first time, she had no version of the story that worked. The consequences didn't come with an announcement. They came quietly. She was removed from planning the family Christmas gathering, something she had controlled for decades. No discussion, no vote. A new group chat appeared. Her name wasn't in it. When she found out, she called my grandmother. "You lied to your daughter for 14 years. Evelyn told her, "You can sit this one out." She wasn't cut off. She wasn't disowned. She was moved. From the center to the edge. The same place she had kept me my whole life. The symmetry wasn't lost on me. Chloe called 5 days after the wedding. Her voice sounded like she had been crying for hours. Or maybe thinking, "I keep replaying everything." She said, all the comparisons, all the times she put us side by side, and I just accepted it. "You were 14. I said. "You didn't know. I'm 28 now." She replied, "I should have asked." We talked for 2 hours, longer than we ever had. Nothing filtered, nothing softened, no version approved by our mother. Chloe told me things I didn't know. That my mother had told her I never applied to any universities. That she said I chose a simple life. That every time Chloe succeeded, it was used as proof that she was better, not just different. I thought I was her daughter, Chloe said quietly, but I was her trophy. You're still her daughter, I said. Just not the only one. There was a pause. Then she asked the question I had been waiting for. Are you really going? Orientation is in August? Silence. Then, softer. Mom called me too. She said you attacked her at the wedding. What did you say? I told her that's not what happened. And she hung up. I let that sit. She wasn't losing Chloe to me. She was losing her to the truth. I love you. Glow. Chloe said before we ended the call. I love you too. And for the first time in years. It felt simple. August came. Morningside Heights. I stood outside the gates of Columbia University with a lanyard around my neck and a bag full of orientation papers. People moved around me. Younger. Louder. Certain. A boy nearby was video calling his parents, showing them the campus. His mother was crying. His father was smiling. I put my phone away. The general studies orientation was separate. 32 people in a room. 32 different paths. A veteran. A single mother. A former chef. A woman my age who decided one morning she wanted something different. For the first time in a long time. I didn't feel behind. I felt right. The advisor stood at the front and said something I didn't know I had been waiting to hear. You belong here. That's why we admitted you. 7 words. 14 years late. Exactly on time. I thought about the kitchen table in 2012, the brochures, the silence, the version of me my mother had built, and the version of me sitting there now, after orientation. I stood outside and took a picture. Blue sky, stone buildings, the same crest I had carried in my wallet. Now carved above me, I sent it to Chloe, to Vivian, not to my mother. A week later, a letter arrived. Handwritten. 2 pages. My mother's handwriting. I sat on my couch and read it. It wasn't an apology. It was a defense. She wrote about sacrifice, about raising 2 daughters alone, about making hard choices. She never wrote the words I'm sorry. She never said I was wrong. She said sacrifice 4 times. Ungrateful twice. At the bottom, a postscript. I got your Columbia letter forwarded to my house by mistake. I didn't open it this time. I stared at that line, as if not repeating the same harm made it right, as if restraint was the same as regret. I folded the letter, didn't tear it, didn't respond. I placed it in a drawer and closed it. Then I picked up my bag and went to class. Then I picked up my backpack and walked to my first class. Introduction to American Political Thought, Hamilton Hall, 9:10 a.m. I sat in the 3rd row. I took notes. I raised my hand twice. I didn't owe my mother my anger. I didn't owe her forgiveness either. What I owed myself was this moment, this semester, and I was going to make it count. It wasn't easy. I was 32, working part-time as a project manager while carrying a full course load. I studied on the subway, ate lunch in the library, said no to invitations that started with just this once. The program was filled with people like me, adults who had taken a longer road, people who understood what it meant to earn their way back, veterans, parents, career changers, people who didn't waste a single lecture. At the end of the semester, I checked my grades at 11 at night. I was sitting at the same kitchen table where I had once filled out community college forms. GPA 3.7. Dean's List. I read it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and sat there in the quiet. She said I wouldn't last a semester. I made Dean's List. I sent a picture to Chloe. She replied almost instantly, I'm so proud of you, all caps. Too many exclamation points. A line of emojis I didn't fully understand, but felt anyway. Vivian sent flowers the next day. The card read, 14 years late. Right on time. I placed them on the table. Same kitchen, same space, different life. My mother didn't call, didn't text, didn't send anything. I had told her I would reach out when I was ready. She didn't cross that line. Whether that was respect or pride, I couldn't tell. With her, they had always looked the same. I wasn't ready. Maybe I wouldn't be for a long time, but for the first time, I knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be. After the semester ended, I wrote her an email, not a text, not a call, an email. I needed distance, and I needed it in writing. Mom, I'm willing to have a relationship with you, but it has to start with honesty, not explanations, not justifications, not I did what was best. You took something from me. You took my acceptance letter. You threw it away, and you told me I wasn't good enough. You watched me believe that for 14 years. You watched it shape everything, every decision, every doubt, every moment I thought I was less than I was. When you can say that clearly, without turning it into something about you, I'll answer your calls. The door is open, but you have to walk through it honestly. Gloria. I read it 4 times before sending it. Then I closed my laptop and went for a run. She hasn't replied. It's been 3 months. She might never. And I've learned to accept that. I can't control whether she changes. I spent 32 years trying to earn her approval. Trying to be enough. Trying to stay small enough to be safe. None of it worked. Not because I wasn't enough, but because her ability to see me was never about me. It was about her. I can't fix that. I can only decide not to carry it anymore. Some days that feels like freedom. Some days it feels like loss. Most days, it feels like both. Like standing between 2 versions of myself. The one I used to be, and the one I'm becoming. And choosing, every day, to keep moving forward. I'm not telling you this so you feel sorry for me. I had a home, food on the table, a sister who loved me, even if neither of us understood the truth until now. My life wasn't tragic. It was redirected. And that redirection cost me something I can't measure. 14 years of a different path, different opportunities, a different version of myself. But I'm telling you this because some of you are carrying that same kind of lie right now. Maybe someone told you that you weren't smart enough, that you weren't capable, that your dreams were unrealistic. Maybe it came from a parent, a teacher, a partner, someone you trusted, someone who decided your limits for you, and you've been living under those limits ever since. They were wrong. And this is what took me 32 years to understand. You don't need them to admit it. You don't need an apology. You don't need permission. You don't need them to look at your life and say they were wrong. You just need to stop believing them. I didn't go to Columbia University to prove my mother wrong. I went because I deserved to be there. The girl who filled out that application after long shifts, saving every dollar. She deserved it. The woman who built a career on her own, without anyone telling her she was enough. She deserved it too. Whatever your version of this is, a degree, a career, a move, a boundary, a conversation you've been avoiding. Go. It's not too late. It was never too late. The only person who gets to decide how far you go is you, right now. I'm in my 2nd semester at Columbia's School of General Studies. I still work part-time as a project manager. Turns out managing construction deadlines prepares you well for managing deadlines in school. My advisor says I'm on track to graduate in 2.5 years. I'm thinking about adding a minor in urban studies, because somewhere along the way, I fell in love with understanding how cities work. Chloe and I have dinner once a month now. Sometimes in the city. Sometimes she drives up and we find a small place on Broadway and sit for hours. She tells me about Ethan, about their apartment renovations, about the dog they adopted, a scruffy little thing named Biscuit who refuses to listen to anyone. Our relationship is different now. Better. Honest. No comparisons. No scoreboard. Vivian has been sober since the wedding. She says something shifted that night, like finally telling the truth made it impossible to hide from herself anymore. Every Monday, she sends me a message. Go get it this week. I reply with a thumbs up and a coffee emoji. It's our routine. And my mother hasn't apologized. She hasn't written back. She hasn't called. And she may never do any of those things. I've made peace with that. Or at least, I'm learning to. Because the truth is, my worth was never hers to decide. It never was. And the girl who saved $63 in crumpled bills, who mailed her dream across the country without telling anyone, she knew that. I just forgot for a while. 14 years ago. A letter was thrown away. But the girl it was meant for, she's still here, still standing, still moving forward. If you think I made the right choice, choosing to walk away, set boundaries, and finally chase the life you deserved, comment you did well so I know I chose courage over fear. But if you believe I was wrong, if you think I should have handled it differently, then be honest and write you were wrong. I truly want to hear your perspective. And tell me this. Have you ever been in a situation like mine, a moment where someone you trusted held you back, and you had to decide whether to stay silent or take your life back? If you have, share your story with me. I'm genuinely curious how you handled it, what you chose, and what it cost you. Because sometimes, hearing someone else's journey is exactly what we need to understand our own. There was a time I truly believed my life had already been decided for me by someone else's fear, someone else's judgment, someone else's version of who I was supposed to be. And the hardest part wasn't what was taken from me. It was how long I believed I deserved it. But the moment I chose to stop believing that story, everything changed. I learned that our worth is not something others get to measure. And our future is not something anyone else gets to control. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is quietly stand up, set boundaries, and choose ourselves even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's lonely. If this story touched something inside you, then maybe you already know. There's something in your life waiting for you to reclaim it. And if you feel that, I hope you'll stay here with me. A simple like, a comment, or even subscribing to the channel doesn't just support me, it helps these stories reach someone else who might need them at exactly the right moment. You're not just watching, you're helping someone out there feel seen, feel understood, maybe even find the courage to change their life. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next story.